Всем привет! С вами я, Елена
Hi,
Вавилина.
I'm Elena Vavilina. Today we will consider interesting color combinations. We will get cool, interesting shades on the example of Sonnet colors from Nevskaya palette. Sonnet is a relatively budget series from Nevskaya palette. They are semi-professional but very decent colors. I love Sonnet paints, and at my live master classes, which I hold in my city, we paint with Sonnet paints. All the color combinations I'm going to show today will be from Sonnet paints. You can also use the colors from the White Nights set. Maybe you'll get slightly different shades because the color components may be slightly different. The color components of the Nevskaya palette and Sonnet paints are slightly different. That's why they are different lines of paints. What interesting things are waiting for us in Sonnet paints? And in Nevskaya palette, if you apply these tips and mix paints, will turn out no less cool. It's no secret that if we add a little ochre to a bright color like carmine, we get a delicate peachy shade. I will put the colors so that they do not create a shadow. Here, it is important not to overdo the yellow shades if we want to get a peachy shade rather than orange. But we need to add more water if we want to get a rose or a delicate peony. If it is thick and if you add a little more ochre, you will get an ugly, dirty orange. But if you start with an ochre shade with a lot of water, you will go smoothly into this kind of muted pink. You are guaranteed a very delicate petal on a delicate rose. This will be the first interesting mixing of colors. I used to pull out this white color from my students because they all started mixing with it. We don't use white in watercolor, so I would pull out those white cuvettes and replace them with Naples yellow. I love the way this color is applied. I'm going to show you what it looks like now. It's that kind of shade. But white can be used as well. If we take a little bit of white and ochre and add a little bit of lemon yellow or regular yellow, you get a similar shade. A little more ochre. You can even leave out the yellow and just take ochre and white. And this shade can also be used in a mixture where we would want to use Naples yellow. Because Naples yellow also has white pigments in it. I like to use Naples yellow when I'm painting the sky. It's bright blue on top, and then it dissipates to a blue with a yellow tint. But we don't want to get green, and yellow with blue gives green. But Naples yellow, if it is not mixed strongly with blue through water, does not give green. These pink shades with Naples yellow are also very beautiful. In Sonnet colors, ochre is not a light yellow, as in White Nights colors, but a little reddish. And to avoid this reddish shade, instead of ochre, you can use Naples yellow. As you have understood, you can create your own Naples yellow and such beautiful rose pink shades. What else is there? Now we're going to look at brighter colors. What surprised me? So many artists love emerald greens. Emerald greens are very bright. I rarely use it. But if I add ochre to it, I get this kind of green. If I add sienna natural, it comes out more olive. If you didn't know, keep that in mind. In our master classes, the usual dark green ends up being almost the very first green. Because why mix things up when you can get the green right away? If you add yellow to it, you get a similar shade to it. But if you are running out of green or you need a cooler, brighter shade, you can use emerald green. But look what else you can do with emerald green. This is what it looks like in its pure form. I'm mixing it with carmine, which I just painted beautiful peachy shades with. And those two colors give this color. And this is where it's important which color to take more of. If we leave a little bit more emerald green, it's almost indigo. It's such a cool blue. When we paint pictures, we often need not such open colors, but complex colors. And the more complex colors we find, the more interesting our painting will be. Look at what a great, calm, soft, nice blue you get. If we take the blues that are in the paint set, here is ultramarine, which is quite bright, such a blue and blue. The blue here is also close to blue. And if we need to muted some color with blue, dark gray blue, this option is very good. It's better than in a plain blue to try to add something to get it. Please add emerald green and a little carmine and it will be such a beautiful color. It's just gorgeous. What else have I loved about sonnet paints? These are my discoveries, chips that you can use too. When we paint landscapes, we need a blue that's not so bright. It's not always like that in nature. We used to use ultramarine, add a little purple to it, a little black, muted the blue to make it more complex. But then somehow by accident, when I was experimenting, I added just red to that kind of blue. Not pink carmine, but just red. That's what it's called, red light. If I take dense blue and dense red, I don't get a bright purple, but it's such a good enough color. This color is similar to the one that came out of green and carmine. That is, blue with red gives also such an interesting enough blue shade. If you add more blue, you get a nice deep blue shade. Because if we just take it in its pure form, it will be bright. You see, here we have made the blue both bright and dark. This is very valuable when you need some such color, especially if there is no indigo in the box with paints. Keep this option in mind too. It's blue and red. What else can I show you? My favorite combination when I need to paint shadows. When I need a gray shade but not black and water, I use this combination a lot. Ultramarine, a little purple because ultramarine is not as bright here. And sienna burnt. It's a brick shade, red-brown. In other paints, this color might be called English red or iron oxide red. These three colors give a lot of cool gray-blue shades. It's a shade if you take about the same amount of blue and purple and not much brown. If you add more brown, you get this shade. If you take blue and brown without purple, you get a gray that is closer to black. We already know that when we paint white in the shade or shadow of a vase, the gray shades are very important to us. It's valuable to find those gray shades. These three colors, blue, purple, and red-brown, are very good in such complex tones. I use them a lot. There's not a lot of purple, mostly blue and brown. I add purple for purity so that the gray doesn't get boring. I also often mix blue, purple, and dark green. You can use this color for the eucalyptus leaves, trees in the far background. If we take purple and dark green, we get a black-gray. Blue makes the shade more cold. It all depends on the proportion. If you take more purple, you get this color. If you take more green, it will be a muted green. For Christmas trees in the background, this color will work well. Even in flowers, and especially in leaves, this color is good. To make the shade a little warmer, you can add a little bit of either ochre or brown sienna natural. This gives that soft, dusty tobacco olive hue. I really like to mix green with that kind of brown. Blue, purple, and green are really cool too. There's a color in these paints that I rarely use too. It's very bright. It's a light purple. I think it's the color of manganese. It's a color you don't see in nature. But I'll add English red to it. In white nights, it's called iron oxide red. It's a wonderful, dense burgundy. It's a very nice wine color. This color is good when we paint a flower and we need dense shadows. Sonnet paints have alizarin crimson. In White Nights paints, it's called alizarin crimson light. And I really like it because it's similar to this burgundy, unlike the alizarin crimson in the White Nights paints. You can experiment with purple light. If you mix it with orange, you get a similar color too. The purple light becomes more natural. You get about the same as with English red, because they both have a reddish tint. One is more brown, the other more orange, also bright. Two bright colors give a great result. The grass green in both Sonnet and White Nights colors is very bright. You can mix it with orange. You get a very nice grass green, which you can use to paint greens in the light. It's a natural good color, similar to olive. If we mix this green with ochre, the shade will be similar but calmer. This shade is also from the olive category. Such interesting secrets. Maybe someone didn't know, and this will be helpful. Especially the light purple. Maybe someone has no use for it at all. Also try adding some bright colors to black. Everything can have a use. Everything can be mixed and added and used. Even by trial and error, experiment with your colors. Turquoise is not often needed in its pure form, but ochre makes a beautiful green. There's a lot of scope here. Experiment. Try mixing your paints and please share what you got, what interesting colors. Maybe I'll take it to heart and use it. I think you will enjoy these experiments because sometimes you get unexpected shades, but you will definitely need them. Bye-bye. See you in the next class.